The Psyche of Success, the video blog that helps you reach the next level. Education, entertainment, and motivation to help you and your team succeed in business and in life. Subscribe, share, and learn. Welcome to The Psyche of Success with your host, Jody Holland.
Hey guys, Jody Holland here. I am with Matt Lee of Allergic to Average, and we are on the Psyche of Success. You're in for a great episode today. I think you're really going to enjoy it. I met Matt 4 years ago?
Yeah, at least 4
or 5 years ago. And we were talking before we started the show. That's about when I really started figuring a lot of this psychology stuff out accurately was about the time that we met. But we're going to be talking today about success. We're going to talk about what average is. We're going to talk about how you kill average and never settle for that again. And just, you're in for a great episode. So Matt, introduce yourself a little more to people. Tell them a little bit about what you've got going on, and maybe a little of your background.
All right. Well, my name's Matt Lee. I'm 27 years old, born and raised in Amarillo, Texas. So really the biggest thing that I push and that I am creating and continuing to help get out to others is it's a brand called Allergic to Average. And Allergic to Average is it's a brand that helps push and promote a mentality. And that mentality is really helping you to create something that gets you to not just settle and not just take on just the average way of thinking, which a lot of times leads to an average way of living. And so with Allergic to Average, it's a lifestyle brand. It's a movement that is in gear and that exists to help you take wherever it is that you're at in life and help you to create the right mentality, leading to helping you create the right reality around you.
I like
and
that.
So, it's just with that real quick, the brand, one thing that we've been working hard to do myself is just like, how can I figure out how to make this tangible and actually have something to offer to people to give them, steps, to give them kind of a guide. And so that was launched, at the beginning of 2019, which was our Create campaign. And now this year and going into 2020, we're pushing and getting to partner with school districts and just different people with our Create curriculum. And so... yeah. So
one of the, I don't know if you've ever read Napoleon Hill, but he wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, which I reread every single year.
That's awesome.
But he also wrote a book called Outwitting the Devil. And in the book Outwitting the Devil, he actually talks about how so often in the way that we are educated and brought up, what we're taught is to be the middle, not to be, better or worse or anything. We are promoting mediocrity in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I'm not bashing education itself, because I love education. I've got a bachelor's and a master's and graduated from high school, and I had honors everywhere I graduated and all of that stuff. But what I am saying is what you do with the information determines who you become. So your mentality to reality. I love that idea, because the psyche of success, psyche meaning soul, is about changing your mental state so that you automatically act on the things that you're supposed to act on. So that's pretty cool.
Yes, sir.
So in the Create curriculum, you're going into school districts, you're helping young people kind of figure out how to view the world differently. Like what's one thing you hope to accomplish with that curriculum, like within the school districts or the minds of the kids?
Well, the very first thing, with the name in general, like Create, you and I were talking about this a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But I had this like epiphany, in my life, and one of the things that really just like has stuck with me, and that I hope to just from the very beginning get our younger demographic to see is like we are created to create.
Yeah. And
it's within us. And a lot of times if you think about it, in life, I've witnessed, I've experienced, I've seen from myself, but also, a lot of people, family and friends, when we get to this point in our life where we are creating, right? We feel like I'm productive. I'm in a place to where I'm able to give back, or I feel like I'm truly happy. And sometimes it's the smallest things like woodwork.
Yeah.
You know, I used to take pallets from an old job that they would throw away, and I'd take them home, load them up in my truck, and I would make, tables. I would make, little shelf pieces. I would but I was creating, and it stirred something within me. And the times that I feel like, for not just myself, but people in general, when we are kind of at our worst, mentally, we're hard on ourselves, when we don't feel like we're truly happy, it's a lot of times when we're not creating in our life.
I agree with that.
When we're just sitting around on the couch, when we're just, maybe life has just really knocked us down for a season, maybe something's gone tragic, and when we're not creating, I feel like that's when we feel our most like helpless, useless, kind of worthless self. So
what's fascinating about that is, I was thinking about this in October. I went and spent 10 days in Hawaii.
Nice.
Phenomenal. If you've not been to Hawaii, you need to go to Hawaii. But even while I was there, though, I was thinking, I want to do something. Like, I want to create something. And so, some mornings I got up and I wrote, some mornings I got up and I read. And what hit me during that vacation is, I enjoy vacations the most when I get to have creative expression as a part of the vacation. So it's not escaping work, because I love what I do. I don't need to escape what I'm doing. But the vast majority of people in the United States, according to, I think it was Gallup, it was either Gallup or Adecco, I can't remember which now, sorry, 82% of people don't like their job.
Yeah.
82% wake up every day and they go, crap, I'm going back to work.
Yep.
And so I don't want that. So for me, a big part of the definition of success, going back to your created to create, is I get to express myself on a consistent basis, whether that's through educating others or writing a book or building an online learning program. I am doing what I was designed to do so that I can help other people do what they're designed to do. So a lot of that definition of success really has nothing to do with money for me. It has to do with the ability to self-express on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So how about you? What's your definition of success?
Well, I think, there's a lot of different angles and things that I've come across for success. But I think if I was to put it in a nutshell, there comes a point in a time in our life where bigger, small scale, it doesn't matter. But you get to this place where there's something that you may want to do, something that you're set out to accomplish, to make known, to make a reality, and only you can make those things happen at a certain place. Like for me, going through high school and not, failing a grade or being held back was a small goal growing up, because I had 3 older sisters and all of them were held back a grade at some point. So there was something in my mind where I wanted to prove to myself that I was smarter than them, because I would go through school and never got held back.
That's awesome.
So that's just like a really dumb example, but it's the smallest things. Even going, if somebody in your family never went to college, and you decided, I want to go to college, and you did that, at the end of the day, you were the only one who could actually come up with producing the kind of grades, the kind of results that you needed to get yourself into college.
So part of it is what you're saying, if I'm getting it right, is you have to own responsibility for self.
Yes.
And so many people in this world are looking for somebody else to blame, to say, oh, it's not my fault. I had bad parents. I had a bad childhood, the economy, the politicians, the whatever. It's not their fault.
Yeah.
If you're average, you blame other people. If you're allergic to average, you own your own choices.
Yep, that's a lot of it. It really does come down to ownership. Working with teens, that's primarily the demographic that I work with a lot. Young adults, teens, and that's probably the number one message that I will take is ownership.
So I've been studying the generation since 2001. And you look at Generation Z, which is the next generation going into the workplace, and they just started graduating this last year in 2019, May of 2019. They are different than the millennial generation. And I would even argue that the millennial generation is different than itself. Like there's a split within that generation that, you're either this side or that side of the thought patterns within a generation. And then Generation X, and I literally just read this last week in an article that Harvard had put out. The origin of Generation X, like the term X, was in the 1970s. when they were saying this is the generation that does not want a label. So X meaning no label. And like, well, that's interesting. And Y and Z aren't that creative. If X was no label, then maybe we should go like double X and
triple X.
Well, maybe not triple X. No, let's don't go there.
Stay away from that one. That's true.
But yeah, it's interesting though, that ownership or that accountability, that is one of the greatest distinguishing factors psychologically between those who succeed and those who do not. Someone who is personally accountable for self. So theory called the Attribution Theory. Attribution just means explanation. If you have internal attribution, I am responsible for me, your likelihood of success is more than 1,000 times higher.
Really?
If you have external attribution, I am not responsible for me, your likelihood of success almost does not exist.
Makes sense.
It's fascinating to me to think that it is that simple and yet that complicated for people to figure out. I have to have ownership of self.
Yep.
So all of us have been influenced by people, inspired and that kind of stuff. So who's somebody that has inspired you or that still inspires you to be allergic to average, to be more of what you're capable of being?
Oh man, that's a challenging one because there's a lot, there's a lot of examples on really big scales, people I've never met. But I think one of the first that comes to mind, he's one of my first mentors, who actually like kind of took me out to see the world literally. Yeah. And see different scenes and different possibilities. But his name is Dubb Alexander.
Oh, I know Dubb.
Okay, you know Dubb. Yeah. So Dubb is one
cool dude.
Yes, he is. He's amazing. And I think, like I told you, going back to the success definition, there's things that in life you can only accomplish on your own, right? Like it's only up to you. You can dream about it. People can say you have what it takes, but at the end of the day, you have to connect those dots to actually get it done, to see that success come into fruition. So like to see his story, to see what he's become, and the things like literally how he's changing the world. Coming from again what most people would consider nothing, coming from a very, very challenging childhood and just background in general, and to see a lot of times like it's crazy to see in our younger generation how we want these instant results, we want things to be flipped and turned, and then we talk about just like earlier before we started, like how, you're like, I think 5 years ago is when I started like clicking, and I have other friends who are older and they're, 40, 45, and some of them had just started their businesses. Which is still
really young, by the way.
Yes, it really is. It really is. And so you get older and you realize that. So, but I think about how, even for him, and I was saying because the longer, life goes on and the older you get and you haven't seen maybe clear results or clear success in the way that you've imagined, it's really easy to fall off. It's really easy to say, you know what, that was great, that was cool, but maybe I should just, go get the 9 to 5 and just go for the check already. I'm tired of playing these games.
And that's, man, as an entrepreneur, that's a tough one that you deal with all the time. And I know I did too. I was offered a phenomenal job when I was maybe a year and a half into owning my own business. And this guy I respected tremendously came to me and was like, hey, I'd like for you to be my director of organizational development. Great at what you do. This is at a time when I was struggling financially, and he's like, it's 6 figures, you have a retirement, you have insurance, you have an expense account.
Nice.
It's 40 to 50 hours a week, and I was working 80 plus at the time for almost no money. God. And I just go, I appreciate the offer, but I am where I'm supposed to be. And to me, that was the first time that I separated money from success. And I don't have a problem with money. I want people to understand that. I like money. I earn great money. I feel like money has to be a part of success ultimately, so that you have the fulfillment or the ability and freedom to go do what you want to do. But it wasn't just the fulfillment part. And learning to do what you were designed to do in the face of what seems like a temporarily better opportunity, it's freeing and it's scary as all get out.
Yeah. No, I believe it. I believe in that.
You even had that conversation with me about, I believe a relative was looking at bringing you in to run a business for him and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you could have done that great and you would have made great money. But at the end of the day, Matt Lee is allergic to average. Like, you are the brand.
Yeah.
And if you walk away from the brand, where's your identity?
Yeah.
You know, that's
exactly.
That's the thing I look at is like, I'm a writer, speaker, trainer, executive coach. I am here to develop people's potential so that they live a more fulfilled life. And if that's not the definition of me, then what is? And I can't give up the definition of me, because going back to what you said, you have all these people that walk through life that really aren't that happy, that are like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life.
Yep.
Knowing what you're supposed to do is the greatest freedom in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Greatest freedom.
And I think pursuing that too, you know, like
Yeah.
to know it is one thing, because man, that's been a lot of it. And a lot of times I feel like that's probably sometimes from what I've experienced, like I feel like 9 times out of 10 we know what to do. Like it's the smallest things
right
too.
here, you know.
Yeah, it could be like I should be in the gym right now.
Yeah.
I'm skipping my workout. I should be making those phone calls right. Like we know what to do, but to actually know that and then actually go and do it. And then, you know, to kind of wrap up like what you like, I brought up Dubb. You know, I've watched him get later, you know, into his life, and I've watched him continue to chase his dream and build himself and give himself time and patience to expand, so that as he becomes more, he's able to give more. Yeah. And so anyways, I just think that that's amazing to see so many people do that, you know, take the time for themselves. Because.
So do you think that's the lesson you learned from him that would be your most important lesson, is that you've got to chase the dream and live into your identity? Or is there a different lesson that you would say was the best one from him?
Well, see, and that's funny that you brought up, because I didn't even use that word, but identity. I think that's probably been one of the biggest things that I've learned from Dubb, is the importance of identity. Yeah. And I think honestly, like, you know, even with me talking about, we are, you know, as human beings, we are creators. Yeah. We are created to create around us. And I think even just understanding that identity for yourself, when you understand, it doesn't matter. Like I said, I mean, we watch, and with social media, you could see these amazing examples of what people are creating in this world. But at the same time, I mean, like, even when you're not taking full access and full control and responsibility and ownership over your creative power, it's still going, because it exists within you. And we watch those creative things happen in people's lives. And what it looks like is, they're still creating, but they're creating probably more chaos in their life. They're creating more problems for themselves and others around them. They're creating more stress and worry, and that creative power is still going, but it's without ownership. It's without the reins on it. It's not being controlled.
It's without conscious choice.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's just, So, but understanding the identity of the ability within you to create. I mean, even your thoughts, like the creative power, and a lot of people don't realize, this is becoming more and more popular talk, but, you know, the ability to create a healthy mentality, you know, and that's what the brand really represents and stands for, is, you know, creating that mentality. But some people just, you know, especially working with young people in high schools and stuff, like they don't understand, like you can shift your way of thinking. Yeah. You can take, you know, power over your mind.
So the way that I look at it, and this, I put it in my book, Smart Accelerated Success System, your beliefs create your thoughts create your actions create your results. You can't get new results with old beliefs. Mm-hmm. And not to get biblical on you, but you can't put new wine in old wineskins. Yep. That was the psychological premise of that, is that the old wineskin is the old way of thinking. So until you change your belief model at a subconscious level, your reality won't change. Yep. Because your new reality cannot be held in an old belief. Why some people succeed and others don't really comes down to what they believe about themselves. Mm-hmm. Therefore, that determines what they think, which determines what they do, which determines the results that they get. So when you model a successful person like a Dubb or whomever you look up to, you want to try to understand their core belief system and model their beliefs. Because when you change the subconscious, the conscious mind says, yeah, that's what I meant. So I see it like at this continuous cycle of the conscious mind going, I want to be X. whatever it is that you want to be. So you plant this idea with your Create curriculum in the minds of youth that they can be more than what they've been in the past and do more and have more. But it starts with, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And the subconscious, its primary job is to protect identity. If you redefine identity, you will fight against the old identity, trying to go, no, this is who we are. We are average. Remember? We blend in. We do nothing different than anyone else. And you just keep pushing against that and modeling a different belief about your possibilities. And then one day you wake up and you realize, man, I'm successful. How did that happen? And you weren't pursuing it necessarily. You were pursuing the right beliefs, and the right beliefs created the right result for you.
Yep.
So,
absolutely. And that's crazy because I'll say real quick, like, beliefs, like your beliefs about yourself, just the beliefs in general that we hold, like that was something for me that I heard early whenever I was first getting into the success, like self-educating myself with books, the power of the mind, and doing, different studying. And like, I came across and understand, I think I was actually in high school, and I remember reading a poster that one of the science teachers had put on her wall, and it broke down that. I'll probably mess it up, but it talked about, what your beliefs, and how those lead to your thoughts and your actions and your habits and your destiny comes from. And I was just like, I remember sitting in a high school class looking at that poster thinking, wow, if that's true, I should think about my beliefs. I should think about, and then, as I got older, that's one thing that I've remembered, but like even in this last year, I've gone back to what do you truly believe? Because I watched my thought patterns shift on things and my results shift. And so I had to go back to, what do you truly believe for yourself, Matt?
So you have to, I guess the other way I look at it is, whatever you put into your mind determines what you get out of your reality. And like the idea of believing the right things, it's all the right inputs, reading the right books, listening to the right podcasts, taking the right online courses, going to the right conferences. Those things help to develop the belief in the new identity. And I'm a huge believer in going to conferences. I love conferences.
Yeah.
Like I love going to training. I love putting on trainings. I've got 8 different programs I'm putting on in this upcoming year, all designed for the same thing, whether it's talking about leadership or supervision or GrowthCon in February, which Matt is speaking at, by the way.
Yeah.
Every one of those conferences is designed to help people grow into a greater version of themselves, which is a new belief, new identity, because when that takes hold, your habits change. And I love that you mentioned habits, and I hadn't brought that up, but man, we are the result of our habits, our daily habits. And if you wake up every day and you screw around till noon, and then you don't really do much after that, and you wait for somebody else to make you successful, you will be a failure, period.
Yep.
You have to get up and figure out what are the habits of successful people and do those things. And I know that's action, but when you get the right belief and you think the way that a successful person thinks, and you have the habits of a successful person, the results are always automatic. Results, that's just the outcome from the other things in your world. That's it.
Wow. So let me ask you this real quick, because
Okay.
I know you're asking me questions. I got a question for you real quick.
Yeah, it's good conversation.
So with habits, how do you, there's a lot of things we can do, and there's a lot of things that will keep us busy, but how have you found a way of developing the right habits?
Great question. So in one of my courses, and I'm actually starting a group called Accelerate in January. So about the time that this podcast comes out, the group will be started on Facebook. And it's when you're trying to accelerate your success, to understand what habits bring you the right results, write down everything that you do during the day, like everything. And then go through and assign a value to everything that you did during the day. And I would track 2 or 3 days in a row. And the things that create success, give those things value. And the things that do not create success or that take away from it, give them no value. You have $100 to spend total, okay, in this exercise. So you might put $5 on this thing and $20 on that thing, but you may have $0 left for this other thing because you can't go over 100. 100% of your time, or $100 in the representation will help you to understand what are the habits that bring you the greatest success. If you pick your 5 or fewer habits to do every single day, the actions that you want to do daily, those are the things that create success for you. I don't care if you're in multi-level marketing or in sales or customer service or leadership, there are certain things you have to do. So my habits, habit number 1, wake up and learn something. That is the first thing that I do every single day, 7 days a week, is I wake up and I learn something. I read or I watch TED Talks or I have online courses that I'm taking, but I learn something for 30 minutes to an hour. Second thing I've got to do every day, I've got to teach somebody something. So part of why I podcast, why I train, why I coach, I've got to teach. Third thing I got to do every single day, I've got to reach out to grow my business. So I've got to have an outreach model where I'm trying to get more people to allow me to provide value to them in exchange for value from them. I'm not trying to get money. I'm trying to provide great value. The money is just an exchange based on the value that I'm providing. Fourth thing I've got to do every day, I got to bill somebody. If I bill somebody, that means that I'm growing in my business and everything's working the way that it's supposed to. And then the fifth and final thing is I create. I write, I record, I do something that allows me to live into my identity. But when I went through and I had 45 things a day that I was doing, those were the 5 that stood out with the greatest value. If you do those first, you have the habits of a successful person. But if you don't do the habits that have the greatest value first, if you do the easy before the hard, the familiar before the unfamiliar, what somebody tells you to do before what you decide to do, you're not going to find success. You're going to find struggle. And you're going to be really freaking busy finding struggle. And it's not going to be fun.
Exactly. No, that's a lot of it. And that's the last thing I'll say on that is just the habits, man, because I went through a season where we just live in such an accelerated time. Like it's mind blowing to think about, I would get distracted literally, checking an email because a notification came in.
Squirrel.
Yeah. And it's so funny, but it happens just like that. A text message was supposed to be sent 5 minutes ago, but yet some other notification came in or an old text that you didn't reply. And then we find this just pattern of these habits, like, 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, they're 10 minutes there. And you look at your day and you're like, I was so busy today, but I got nothing 2 things done. Out of the 10 I was supposed to. So the habits is what I keep coming back to. And how do you develop those?
And so that was, the reason I came up with my hashtag GSD planner, get stuff done or whatever S you want to put in there, was it's a daily plan that creates success. So I look at it in almost this dichotomy. I play the long game. I'm not here to just make money in 30 days. I'm here to create a legacy that continues to make money even after I'm gone, so that I'm supporting my wife, my kids, whomever. And statistically, women will outlive men. So I want to be prepared for that. I want to make sure she's taken care of. But that means in me creating and me putting things together, I'm trying to play this long success game. And then on the short side of it is I do have to make money this month. And that's why I try to bill every day. But I'm creating things in the long term that make a difference in people's lives so that they continue to get value from me, so that they continue to pay.
Absolutely.
And I think the long game combined with daily habits is where we find success. So that planner is, what do I need to do today? What's my key 3 for the day? Every day, what's my number 1 focus area? The end of every day, what are my 3 wins for the day? And so it's all the things that are in that habit loop of daily success.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, and the planner's $10. I really don't make any money off of it, but it's on Amazon, and I just put it out there because I thought, man, people need this. And people that are in the Accelerate group, I'm actually going to be providing them the graphics so they can just print their own.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. And that's been one thing for me, man. A planner in general, like, there's just no way I could get it all done if I didn't jot it down and actually see it out.
Yeah. Same here. And if I don't have it on a plan for the day, I really don't do much.
Yep.
I got to have a plan.
Yep.
So last question I've got for you, and we're going to wrap this up, is think about a piece of advice that you would like to share with the listeners. What's something that you believe could help them be allergic to average? What advice do you have?
I think, man, there's so much I could say on that, but I think the biggest thing would be, I'm always coming back to like time in general does this weird thing to us.
Yeah.
And just whether if it's moving too fast, then we're complaining about that. When it's moving too slow, we're complaining about that
Exactly.
too. But I think the one thing that I would say is just making the most of your time. And it's just like, you used even the reference of money and time. And I think for me, one of the things that helped me, one, accelerate early in life, and then two, continue to stay hungry and understanding like how to continue to climb and get to next levels. It was understanding how I spend my time.
Yeah.
And so I think so if there's a younger demographic out there, whether you're middle school, high school, college age, I would say to that demographic first, there's a period of time, especially right after high school in that college age area, where most young adults want to get caught up or they don't want to get caught up, but they do get caught up in what's going on with everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
The party scene, the girls, the guys, there's just a lot that happens. And instead, and most do know this, but we forget, and we get just caught up in this cycle. And then when you start to see, because even me, I'm 27 years old, so I'm getting towards the back end of the 20s, getting closer to 30. So you start thinking about that. But the reality is, you have this amazing time frame at the beginning there of the 20s or after high school to really get yourself ahead, to really take the first, even if it was 2-3 years, to just sit there and think about what am I building so that I can get ahead and actually have something sustainable to build on. And I think it gets worse after, because like I said, I've witnessed this with not just myself, but other people too, is like, man, you start to get older and you are going for that dream. You decided I want to be an entrepreneur, or maybe it's not even business. Like maybe you're just like, it's time I take that test and I go and apply for that job. It's time I take that position and I do what it takes to, but when time has passed so long and you thought, you know what, I haven't done it yet. Yeah. Why not? Well, I mean, why would I be able to do that now? Those types of things. And so the timing is just like, again, going back to ownership, like take ownership of your time, because all you have is today. Like so
put the right things into your time to get the right things out of your time.
Exactly. And so just like money, you can squander it, you can waste it, you can blow it, you can do a lot of things with it, but the best thing that you could do is find a way to invest it so that you find a return on that.
Oh, that's good.
And just like your time, find a way to invest your time so that
don't spend it, invest it.
Invest it, right? And so when you're building on things, if I put my time into this, there's a return on this investment later.
Yeah.
It's like multiplying your time, just like your money, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're all out here to do is just figure out how do I make the most of my time, of my energy, and the money that I'm bringing in, and then at the same time, how do I multiply that, right?
Yeah, and the only way to do it is to invest it, not spend it.
Exactly. So invest your time.
That's awesome. So hey, Matt, if people want to find out how they can get some of the cool shirts, and hold up your arm here so they can see you've got the Allergic to Average tattoo on there. That looks awesome. You got the Allergic to Average shirt going on. This is a new
one dropping probably mid-January 2020. So
and I've got a bunch of Allergic to Average stuff. I see it all over the gym, by the way, when I go work out.
It's everywhere. We're taking over.
If people want to buy shirts or just get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Our website is Allergic, 2, and avg.com. That's also Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. So if you want to connect with us, we're really building the community this year, going in depth. We have a private Facebook group. The Create curriculum is going to be delivered and just introduced even more to that community. And so, check us out at Allergic, 2, avg.com, or any social media, Allergic, 2 AVG. And you can connect my email, Matt@allergic, 2 AVG.com. So
that's awesome. Well, thank you, Matt, for being on the show. It has been a great conversation.
Absolutely.
I know the listeners are going to love this one. So if you guys have not subscribed to the show yet, make sure you do that. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Share this with your friends. I would sincerely appreciate you going and giving us a great rating on iTunes and telling other people that they need to be a part of this show. If you have a suggestion for us as well on another guest, love to take that as well. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to The Psyche of Success. Give us a 5-star rating, subscribe, share with your friends, take out billboards about how much you love us if you want, but just make sure to apply the lessons learned and live fully into your potential. We'll see you next week for another episode of The Psyche of Success.